Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to explore a truly fascinating ancient text that wrestles with one of the biggest, most profound concepts in human history. We're talking about the meaning of divine justice. And look, this isn't just about boring rules and regulations. We're talking about ultimate cosmic balance. We're going to unpack exactly how this ancient worldview understood the mechanics of divine justice. And we'll break it down piece by piece so we can really grasp the incredible scale of this narrative.
But before we really get into it, I want you to think about something for a second. What actually happens when justice just fails down here on Earth? We've all seen it, right? We've all felt it. Those agonizing moments when wrongs go entirely unpunished, when innocent people suffer, and when earthly systems are just so utterly broken that terrible injustices fly completely under the radar. It's a really heavy, frustrating reality. Well, this desperation, this deep craving we have for a higher fairness, that's exactly what our ancient text is responding to. It actually gives us a powerful, structured answer to this very earthly problem. All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the cry for justice, because our cosmic courtroom drama actually begins with a very earthly crime. Okay, let's dive into this. The text kicks off with this incredibly solemn image. And in those days, the prayer of the just and the blood of the just one ascend from the earth before the Lord of the spirits. Just let the gravity of that sink in for a moment. This text absolutely does not shy away from the brutal reality of spilled blood or the desperate prayers of people who've been wronged. It treats human suffering with the utmost seriousness. So let's talk about that word, ascend, because it brilliantly illustrates a core concept here. In this ancient framework, human suffering doesn't just vanish into the dirt. It doesn't just evaporate into nothingness. Actually, it travels upward. The blood and the prayers, they act as tangible, irrefutable evidence, moving straight from a place of earthly suffering to a higher cosmic realm. It actively rises up so it can be seen and formally acknowledged by the ultimate authority, the Lord of the spirits. You know, this really hits on something we all crave, right? A deep, universal human desire. We all desperately want to know that our pain is seen, that our struggles aren't just invisible. And the core of that hope is the idea that every single spilled drop, every whispered prayer, completely bypasses the broken systems of Earth and goes straight to the ultimate authority. Literally nothing is lost. Every single piece of evidence is gathered. Moving right along to Section 2, the heavenly advocates. This is where we see some serious cosmic mobilization. Now, listen to how the heavens react to this evidence that just showed up. In these days, the holy ones who dwell in high heaven will unite in one voice and will petition and pray. The arrival of this earthly evidence causes an absolute stir in heaven. It's definitely not a place of passive, quiet observation. The heavens mobilize. The holy ones unite with incredible energy and purpose, and they act immediately on behalf of the just. What's wild here is how the text frames these beings. The holy ones aren't just like angels peacefully floating around on clouds. They are essentially acting as a cosmic jury, a heavenly council. They're stepping directly into the role of unified legal advocates for the earthly victims. When earthly courts fail us, this heavenly council takes up the case. They literally become the voice for the voiceless. So the crucial point to grab here is that they're not just throwing up generic wishes or praying blindly. No way. They have three very specific, legally minded demands for justice. First off, they demand that the spilled blood is not in vain. It has to mean something. Second, they demand that judgment is actually executed over the unjust. There has to be accountability. And third, they petition that the just do not suffer to eternity. There absolutely must be an end to their pain. This is a highly structured, purposeful legal petition being brought before the highest court imaginable. It's almost like looking at a split screen. Down here on one side, total earthly injustice, blood spilled, agonizing prayers from the suffering. But up there, on the other side, we have the heavenly response. The holy ones are mobilizing, petitioning, praising, and speaking with one unified voice. The contrast is just breathtaking. The text builds this massive sense of hope by showing us that all the chaos and unfairness down below is met with perfect order, unity, and fierce advocacy up above. All right, this brings us to the climax of the text. Section 3, the cosmic court convenes for the ultimate trial. I absolutely love how logically this ancient text breaks down the mechanics of divine justice. We can literally map it out. It's due process. Step 1, the evidence, the prayers, and the blood ascends from earth. Step 2, the heavenly legal council, those holy ones we talked about, petition the ultimate authority. Step 3, We enter the trial phase where the books of the living are officially opened. And finally, step 4, the resolution, where the number of justice is fulfilled. It's so incredibly methodical. It assures us that divine justice isn't just some random event. It's a meticulous, guaranteed process. And then, the ultimate judge takes the bench. And in those days I saw the head of days as he sat upon the throne of his glory, and the books of the living were opened before him. The tone totally shifts here to one of pure, majestic authority. The petitions have been heard. Court is officially in session, and the definitive records of every single life and deed are laid completely bare. Now, that poetic title, Head of Days, it's basically saying the Lord of the Spirits has formally put on the judge's robe. He is taking on the role of the ultimate presiding judge. Ancient, eternal, and wielding absolute, unquestionable authority right from the throne of glory. Let me tell you, there is no appealing this court's decision. The buck stops entirely with him. Just try to picture the sheer scale of this scene. The text tells us that his whole host, everyone in high heaven around him, stood before him. You've got the ultimate judge on the throne, the cosmic advocates who brought the case, and the entire heavenly host standing there in absolute pin-drop silence and reverence as those ultimate records, the books of the living, are brought forward for review. I mean, the tension is just palpable. Which leads us to our final act, Section 4, the final verdict, where the scales are finally balanced. Get ready for an amazing emotional pivot here. And the hearts of the holy ones were filled with joy because the number of justice was fulfilled. Think about it. We started this explainer with spilled blood and desperate, agonizing prayers. And now it concludes with profound, overwhelming joy. The verdict is in, the scales are balanced, and those advocates who fought so relentlessly for the earthly victims are rejoicing. This really brings the whole shebang full circle, wrapping up the narrative arc beautifully. The text proves its ultimate thesis. Before the Lord of the Spirits, no cry goes unanswered. The prayers of the just, heard. The blood of the just, demanded and accounted for. The true meaning of divine justice, at least according to this ancient text, is that fairness is ultimately absolute. The books are perfectly balanced, and every single wrong is accounted for. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this to chew on. A really powerful, provocative question to ponder long after we're done here today. If those books of the living were cracked open today, like right now, what would the number of justice demand? How would the scales balance out for our world? It's a really deep concept to wrestle with, for sure. But understanding how these ancient texts visualized perfect justice gives us such incredible insight into our own enduring pursuit of fairness. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep asking those big questions.